try to make this fast.
Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. Lisa, sunshine law, announcement?
Public Meetings Act 1975, adequate notice. This meeting was provided on February 20th, 2019, by publication of notice and express time and posting, and notice in the municipal building on the same date.
Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Here.
Mr. Bean?
Here.
Mr. Marqueta? Ms. McDermott?
Here.
Mr. Ferrone?
Here.
Mr. Benali?
Here. Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to do the resolution first, because we're going to forget about it if we don't. So, I'm looking for a motion to adopt resolution number 24, 2019, which is the appointment of Lisa Berg, the municipal clerk, as the interim zoning officer, so that when Larry's out of the office, if any paperwork or any signatures are required for the zoning department, she'd be able to do that. So anyone want to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Anyone want a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any comments or questions?
No.
Roll call.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Bean?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrone?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. 2019 budget discussions. Joe, you want to go first?
Yes.
So Troy can leave, I guess, and then you're going to have him hang in for the streets, so.
Okay.
So,
All right.
he's the only one that's here that doesn't have to be here.
And I was going to
You're
say...
welcome to stay, obviously,
Yeah,
Troy.
and Joe doesn't necessarily need to hang for the streets if he's got, because he wasn't planning on it, he was here for the fire department.
If you need, I'm more than glad to stay. All right, here for the fire department, and really, operating budget stuff wasn't looking for an increase, but I will report that the aerial truck was going down for some repairs, and we had a motor problem. And it hasn't been diagnosed yet. It's sitting down at Atlantic Detroit in Piscataway, waiting to get in the shop sometime this week. It's pointing towards a head gasket or a cylinder head, which is going to get into a couple $1,000, 8, 9, maybe even 10,000. Letter distributed, we're here for about the new fire station. This letter was received to us at Troy after we did a pre-loan application.
Pre-loan application.
And what it really just describes there, tells us our mortgage payment and stuff, but with what funding that we have right now, even though it's a valuable project, we're not making enough money to support the whole mortgage per year. So what we were looking for, and as you read down the last paragraph there, is the town would consider to co-sign and or financially support us. Now, with that being said, I talked to Kathleen, and the same ladder truck I just talked about, the motor, the final payment is up in 2020. If we would move, and starting to move ground this year, probably occupy, if everything went good, the beginning of 2020. The fire department has enough funds to handle that first year's mortgage payment. But after that, we would probably need help. But there's a lot of variables. We got to go, their financing for the whole nut there, $2.3 million. What we can't show there is all the contractors, local contractors who come up and wanted to be involved with this. This shows real numbers as we're paying full price for it. I've had vendors come to me, for instance, an asphalt company, to do it for cost. You know, that's a big savings. Had some unions come to me with concrete work, looking to either do it for cost or maybe even a better donation. And also outside cash donations they're not willing to write a check until they see a real firehouse being built, a structure, a dirt moving there. So they're all unrealized promises that we don't have. When it's all said and done, there may be not a chance there that we have enough to fund this. The other thing that we don't know on is the income of the hall, the rentals and stuff. We talked to Alpha. Alpha needs to be a viable banquet hall. They have something going on almost every weekend, if not 2 days, at minimum 1 day in their hall, a Friday night or a Saturday, and so forth. So that's all unrealized income. And then we have a few fundraising ideas to make this go, to move forward. This price here is also the fire company's price. Township money-wise, this is still a $4.5 million project, 14,000 square foot. Now, I did bring the drawings. The fire company right now is about $50,000 into professional fees, engineering fees and stuff. Not much has changed with it, but this is pretty much the basic layout. Once again, just black and white. Upside down. Can you help them? You said, want me to hold it?
If you want to, that's fine.
There it is.
Oh, there.
And like we said, the station itself is in the area of 14,000 square feet. And of course, we just got from our engineer, we have a preliminary site plan, and just the fire company just gave them word to start with working on our applications and stuff, because with being on a county road, we have to go to the county, get their approvals. We met year and a half ago with the county engineer's office and stuff, and got some guidance from them, so we weren't spending a lot of money in redesigning any requests for out at the road and what we'd have to do, road widening and stuff. But here is the plan. I don't know if you'd like to see it or anything.
Well,
Take a look at it.
so,
So
if you
really,
had to
what
do any
we're
road widening and stuff, is that in this application?
yes, that's part of all of the site plan stuff too.
Okay.
Sewer, septic system, we've already got design. We have our geological work done, all test boring. We have our perk test done, and a very large septic system. I think the tank there design has to be a 2,000 gallon tank because of the possibility of the maximum. The hall will hold about 170 people. Correct. Yeah, with the kitchen.
Trucks, you'll have to ice some base?
No, blacktop and stuff, so that would be money.
Oh, okay.
All right, but what we did in our site plan there, behind here, instead of doing a blacktop parking lot, this would be stone.
Mm-hmm.
Because, of course, we had to design a detention pond back here on this part, and that's all in our site plan. And one of them there, and that's going to be an application, since there's nowhere for this water to run, is as when we come up, I came earlier, a year or so ago, asking permission to build that road on the town property,
Right.
to make an access road, our parking lot, which is in that. We need, I guess it would be called like an outfall to run across the town's property there, to hold it and to release it slow, like it would right now for the fields, because it all being up top of the hill up there. But really the only paving is the parking lot here, and I think that was something like 65 parking spots, and the firefighters' parking area here was about 15 or 20 parking spots in the front of the building.
Now, everything to the left, I guess that's where the hall is, right?
Correct, and that's why the public parking there, have sidewalks all the way around. If we park them into the stone area, they can still traverse the sidewalk around the building to the hall and stuff.
Do you have any idea what you anticipate for revenue for the hall?
What we, no,
No.
no, not, I would have.
Are you planning on doing it where the firefighters are gonna work the events, or are you just gonna rent it out?
What's that? We're working on that. I have, our auxiliary, we have 12 women chomping at the bit to start working at it and to start doing stuff.
Joe, this
Like I
is,
said, I think it might be a combination of having a house caterer, and we might have to work the hall part and stuff like that, or allow people to bring their own caterer in. We have talked about that, so.
does this have to go through the land use board first, too?
Yes, we were told we have to.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
Yeah. Because
I could be wrong, but I'll bet you it'll take a year, so you want to get that in front of people
Oh,
soon.
sure. Well, that's why we're working on it. That's why we're working on it.
Well, excuse me, Joe, I don't think, and we'll see, because apparently you're ready to make an application.
We're working, he's done it.
Okay,
Tom's working
that's
on it.
good. I don't, the year potential is gonna be because of the county.
Well, no, I'm just saying,
Okay.
yeah, no, hey, I'm watching them trying to open up a freaking little thing over here across the street, and it's a year.
Well, they're working the sidewalks. I'll ask the question that I'm sure you figured somebody was gonna ask.
Sure.
How much do you think it would be without the hall?
How much
The
they could be
building.
without the hall?
He gave us a quote, it's been so long, I
Yeah.
can't.
I'm gonna say without the hall, because that's gonna have all the fixtures and stuff, that's gonna be the higher price. I think the building itself, the site work was $1 million because of all the pipe work and stuff. The building was another $1 million. I think we would probably be floating with $800,000, $750,000.
Total?
Just without the hall.
Without the hall, that's
Because
right.
we still need the septic system.
Yeah, I
We still
understand.
need all of that there, the hall. We probably still have some.
Would you still
type of
qualify
small-
for one of these USDA loans if it was only a firehouse, or does it have to have the hall to qualify for a loan?
Well, to qualify for the loan, they're looking at that as part of our financial support to make the payment.
So, Joe, all right, so, what is the number that you're looking for on a monthly basis? What number are you guys projecting that you're doing?
Here's what it is. Right now, the letter projected is only about $20,000. We're thinking we can make $50,000 to $60,000.
All right, so this 20 is really what they figured out?
Yes.
And how do you figure you're going to do the difference?
Well, what we're going to do, the difference is with the hall rental, we have a couple things that'll make, a couple fundraisers we could do if we do the same thing Bloomsbury's doing right now. They're making up to $30,000 a year with a raffle of spring and fall.
No, right.
Stuff like that, and that's right there, and then.
All right, so what's the actual monthly number that you're looking for from the town?
Well, what I was looking at is that truck payment right now is about $57,000. We got a $111,000 mortgage, and that's not keeping the lights on in the place yet.
The only problem with using that $57,000 for the truck, what happens a year after you build it, you're probably gonna come in and say, you need a
Yeah.
ladder, whether it's a ladder or a pumper, it's a lot of money, so.
Yeah.
So you said it's a $4.5 million project?
Now, if the town built it, it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
It's it's up there,
2.3, so the loan amount is the full,
Yes,
That's
that, like I said, that's not realizing any donations and any help that would be coming. That's the full.
And
2.3 is,
And Joe, just out of idle, well, it's not out of idle, there's a purpose behind it. What is the cost of the septic? Do you have a rough number?
You don't know if I have one.
Yeah.
I mean,
I thought we had an estimate. I think that was pushing 75,000, 75 to 80,000. When we did.
And I'm gonna,
That's part of geological.
Right.
Estimate.
I'm gonna speak something here, and I wish Frank was here, because, there's chatter about trying to start the sewer project over again, for multiple reasons, and a completely different angle this time, too, not with the town backing it completely up with tax dollars. Beth McManus is looking into a couple of options for us about setting the hamlet up as an area of redevelopment so that we can get grants. Now, we understand that grants aren't going to pay for the whole thing, but if we could get half of the sewer project done, hookups almost get the other half done. Almost. You know, because the grant situation, I think we're not going to be able to force, or I wouldn't force the people who are reinstalling now, whereas if we did it on the town, the way it was, they were going to have to, whether at the selling time or something. So I don't know that we'll be able to force that, so some of that revenue would come down. But there's some chatter again about this for multiple reasons, one of which is to burn up the sewer allocation so that it doesn't get caught up in affordable housing ever again, you know? Number two is, there's still a lot of homes here that need it regardless, that will never have room for anything. Right, exactly. The creek is definitely being polluted, but I don't want the DEP involved in it because they might make us force our hand, tell to do it, you know. I do plan on getting them involved at some point because I think they'll have some money. So there's multiple things about this there, but that is not a soon thing. And I would have thought that it would also help the municipal building because we're probably going to have to do something here at a tune of $100 grand. And I'm just throwing that number out. I've heard that number could be even bigger.
Yeah, because we've got to probably pump it up to the back.
Right. So and that's why I asked about that number, because this fire department could be hooked up to it.
I talked
But,
to Mike about that when that was first coming, and he even looked at the maps and said that out in front of the firehouse was the peak, and the decline would be from the front of the firehouse going downhill from there.
Right.
The pumping station from here would hit there. to the top
so
of the
there's
hill.
chatter about it, and I don't think that
And we
this,
would be on the
right,
downfall.
if this sewer project was to even get wheels and get going again, it's not going to be in time for this. That's my thought process.
How much did you say a year you're making now? Like, you said something about
Well,
50-some thousand?
Right now, we figure we make $50,000-$60,000 a year with the haul
Okay.
and stuff like that. Right now, we're floating in the area of 20 to 25, and sometimes we're pushing 30. It all depends on what kind of donations we got. Our annual mailer, which only receives about 19 to 20% return, is coming in at $18,000 to $20,000 a year.
Yeah, pathetic too, by the way.
Yes,
The
it is.
squad's number,
That's
the squad's number is around 17%.
Yeah, it's right
And we're
there.
around $12,000.
Yeah, we're getting-
We've had higher year, but,
Mhm.
I mean, I think this year it's coming in around 4, but yeah, 16 to 17% of the residents are
That's
ponying up a
what
couple
we
of
get
dollars, and
returned.
that's,
That's what we get returned.
right.
The USDA was very, the ladies.
And also-
Very good with us.
USDA, this is 100% mortgage, this is no money from us.
Right.
And they were even gonna reimburse our fees, but we said, why? Because we're already paying for them now. What we paid for, we're gonna pay for, because
Right.
we're affording it now.
The, how many vehicles does that hold?
What's that?
How many
These, it'll hold 8.
8?
Yeah.
Are you putting a cross beam across the back to eventually open up for rear doors if you wanted to, or not?
Didn't much think about it.
I'm trying to figure out the best way to a way that we could possibly finance this. And I'm just thinking, if you only built the firehouse side, the payments would be almost less than half of what we're anticipating. And if you did 2 drawings a year for this one night, really, I mean, I know everybody hates theirs. Can you pull the trucks out for a night and use the bays and have your fundraisers there? You could almost pay with the 2 fundraisers a year, that mortgage.
You say that, Bob, and I've talked to a few guys when we started this back in 1999. Tri-County Firehouse
Mhm.
up in Mansfield, that's supposed to have a hall to the left of it too.
Right.
They were gonna do the same thing 20 years ago, and they still haven't done it.
No, I'm not saying they even ever add on. I'm just saying you could almost get your mortgage payment.
Oh,
From those 2 fundraisers.
From using the bank.
Yeah.
Well, the thing of it is, another one is, I get anywhere from 10 to 12 calls without any advertising, looking to rent our hall
Yeah.
and stuff. And we thought that if we offered nobody's gonna want to have their daughter's wedding reception in a fire.
Oh, no, I'm saying get out of that business altogether. When
Well, that's-
I'm saying that, I'm saying give it, because I was a member in Bloomsbury when they went to the hall.
Yeah.
And after a couple of years,
It's a lot of work,
there was a lot of work, and everybody who was dying to work there
yeah.
was dying to get out of it.
Oh, yeah, no, I know
So-
that, I know.
So,
I know that.
I'm not, I'm just, I
Well,
mean,
we talked to Alpha.
you definitely need something.
If you don't have the hall, a lot of places told us without a hall, you can't rent in the winter because you can't park the trucks outside.
Yeah, I know, I get
So
it.
it's like, the cost really is only.
I'm saying, I'm just saying for the,
23%.
your 2 fundraisers a year,
Yeah.
you can move the trucks out, sell your, the spring drains, whatever they're calling them, make your money, not even have the hall, and that would almost make your payments. That's all. I mean, I don't know, and we'll have to discuss it, but it's,
And that's taking the money from what we use now just to pay the mortgage, so then we won't have the money for other things. So it's, it's, you know how it is, it's
Yeah.
take from this one to pay this one.
well, I don't want to speak for everybody, but if we reallocated that $57,000 a year to help you with the payment, I don't know who will be on the committee when you're coming in for your next truck, but that's going to certainly be an issue for them, and if I was still on, I'd have to sit there and say, look, we're paying the mortgage, we're helping you with the 57 a year, how much can we give you towards a truck now,
No, I realize that,
Yeah.
plus you're also paying for the other engine.
Yeah.
So I also told the guys that you might have to wait until that engine's paid off before the next. new
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Just wait here, that funding.
I mean, you're here, you know the deal, we're not even giving you a line of crap on the finances,
Oh, no,
you're here all
I
the
know the
time.
numbers, I know the numbers. So that's why I was looking at that figure.
I mean, I recognize you definitely have to do something. I mean, the way you're living, this isn't working.
Yeah. When we seen that lottery ticket was over there, we were hoping it was a friend of the fire.
Yeah.
We don't know yet because it seems to be anonymous.
No, actually, I saw a name attached to it earlier today, but,
Yeah, I heard a couple names, but I don't know if it was true. Somebody said it might not be true.
no, nobody I know.
Yeah.
I was so hoping it was part of the group that I'm in, but it's not.
So, really, that's
Yeah, over
about
at the,
where
quick
we're
checking
at,
out
what
for
we
the,
have.
mega hit,
And like I said,
276 million.
And I know
Yeah.
even with the letter to help finance it, but that's where we're gonna be at right now.
Yeah,
We'll probably move as far as the application. I don't know how long application will be good for, or if we get extension, but it'll probably stop there if we don't have the.
So at this point, let me be clear, what are you asking for again? You're asking us
$57,000
to
a year.
allocate the 57,000,
Yeah, after,
And
in 2021.
so the application, you can put it down as income.
We use as income as the financial support that
Yeah.
the town would give us.
Okay.
And like I said, right now, that's the number. It could be less.
It all depends on that.
There's interest rate and what the final price is.
Right,
And that was then, there was one rise.
okay. I guess we just have to take that under consideration. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
Frank.
Yeah, and since we're doing the fire department here too, and the squad, I didn't bring, I know we talked about it a couple of years ago, and I said that I wasn't ready to commit to asking the town to think about bonding for an ambulance at the thing, that we would wait, because I still have thoughts about the staffing. And although I think our staffing woes are still there, but there seems to be a movement from Opakon Township residents about joining our squad because they're no longer taking volunteers over there because they're completely paid.
Really?
And yeah, and and they aren't even talking to,
When you say pay, they contract it out?
no, it's their staff, they pay for it,
Really?
yes. I mean, there's a little town assistance there, but after about a year, the way the system works out, their call volumes about where they're making do, and stuff like that.
So I'm sorry, how's that work? So they get paid what, by the residents, by the insurance company?
No, by the insurance companies, they're billing, there's 30% that they have to, that they wipe off that they'll never get paid for. But besides covering in Phillipsburg a little bit more regularly now, and it's not that Greenwich just doesn't do it, we just don't do it, go into Phillipsburg. because they're calling for the paid staff almost automatically nowadays. So we don't even try to rush to do P-Berg. And to be quite honest, we weren't kind of doing it anyway because you get three-quarters of the way there and they cancel you anyway. So it just got to be more of an annoyance. So there, and they do an awful lot in White Township and Belvedere now too.
Okay.
Yeah, because Belvedere's been missing calls for an extended period of time, and 39's not, is also, struggling with staffing and stuff. So they've got the call volume now to be self-supportive.
You guys still covering Harmony now?
Yeah, we cover Harmony. And with that being said, we have small little misses there too. We have our own weaknesses, but I'm not completely sold on the longevity of the squad right yet. But I do want to keep in everybody's mind, though, that 3 years ago, an ambulance probably wasn't needed, but we're getting closer to maybe needing it, if there is a future. So I just want everybody to be thinking about that. Like I said, I'm not asking for it right now, but if we ended up bonding for equipment, then maybe put that in there and stick it to the side. Whether you use it or not is a whole nother ballgame. But that's my squad talk, so.
Is that all on the squad too then?
Pardon?
Is that all on the squad? Like nobody else is coming in?
No, that's it.
You good?
Yep, we're good. Well, they've been mad at me for 2 years because I wouldn't commit to the ambulance. Not everybody, mind you, but most of them, my reasoning was pretty, because I said, I'm not going to spend $180,000 on, if we're not going to be here in 5 years, and have a town ambulance just not sitting. I said, we bought a new one, our old town one, although it's a 2002 and it's showing some age, she's still a pretty stout machine, and I think we can go for a stretch without it. But 3 years from now, I will have some questions about the 2002. She's outdated a little bit. It is a little bit tougher to even just get Ford parts for it and stuff like that. So sooner or later, it will become a problem. Not this year, maybe not even next year, but it's close. So I want to keep that line of communication open if we end up having to do something. But that's it for the squad.
Lisa, want to talk about municipal office hours?
Well, actually, before we do that, because Lisa's here for the duration, can we talk, so Joe can get out of here, can we talk roads?
Oh, okay. I just figured it was going to take the longest, so...
I don't think it's going to take too long, actually.
Okay, then let's go to the roads.
Mike, we had pulled out, Joe and I were having some conversations, and I don't know if you still have the study that you did 5 years ago?
I brought it with you. And this is just the reduced version, but...
And I'm thinking that I must have heard something wrong somewhere along the line, but I'm not the only one that remembers the number. But when we were talking about our end of the obligation of doing pay setters, because the DEP, or Acadia, the water project's doing half of them, but didn't you have a number in your head that it was going to cost to do the other half?
Yeah, we've thrown out so many numbers.
Well, that's what well, I'm going to, I think I'm,
Tell you the numbers right now.
So I played there.
yeah, no, and I'm thinking that I must have misunderstood you, and I'm going to chalk that up, but didn't you think just doing the other half was going to be somewhere around 2 million, or a little over that?
No, it was a lot
Yeah,
more
like-
than you might think.
Right, okay.
So that, well, I can't recall the numbers.
No, but 5 years ago, though, to do everything in pay setters, it was $479,000. Why such a big jump? On this report here, to do the roads and pay setters,
Okay, we look at the same...
How old's this report?
5 years.
The spreadsheet?
So this is from 2014?
Was it 2014 or 2015?
2015.
So this is from 2015.
Yeah, 2015. Right, Joe, and that was the number that
Yeah, I calculated up.
calculated up. It was, well, I mean, let's do even numbers, but at $500,000.
No, real quick, I'm looking at the same
For the open space, for the,
Arbor Drive
water
alone,
basins.
we estimated at $183,000. So if you still add up, 15 West Road is 117, so you're already at about, what, 310? Deborah Lane, 30, so it's 350. Earlman, 30, that's 380. 64.
Hey, Chris, the court's not big.
Yeah, well, but still, 10,000 doesn't get you very far. Okay, Meadow Run is out 32. Those are the pace of the roads.
Yeah, so that's 400, let's keep it easy math, $500,000. That's way more manageable than 2.5.
Yeah, and I don't know what it's 2.5.
So that's what I'm trying to get some clarity here, because I've been focused on, Jesus, we need $2.5 million just to do that, and some of these older roads aren't even getting touched for an extended period of time, because we've committed to those roads.
Right, there's, I don't know.
No, well, that's, we need to, because we gotta figure this out.
Well, I think there's two primary questions that need to be answered before we can really even decide which path we might want to go down. One, of course, is how much money do we have? Then we got the DOT grant also out there.
Right.
Which we'll be able to get a little further because obviously the OU2 project is going to pave some of Washington Street and Stewartsville Road.
Right.
But not a lot.
No, right.
That's the thing. Unlike in Franklin, the entirety of Stewartsville Road is being impacted by the water main, and the entirety of Stewartsville Road in Franklin will be repaved. Okay. In Greenwich, basically, from when you get to the Franklin boundary line to Willow Grove Road, there's no water main impact whatsoever, so that's not being touched, other than with the grant money.
Right.
It's going to be paved from Willow Grove, this is, again, the water main project, from Willow Grove down to Strunks, because that's where the water main is ran. So you got half about that's, so that'll certainly be helpful. But then you got the issue of the traffic impacts, of the truck traffic during the project, when you pave and
right.
whatnot. That plays itself out beyond, in many respects. And the big question is, because of the progress of the project, and although I know they want to finish and be out of here in 2019, which will of course include paving, that's a little ambitious, I think, based upon...
Oh, man, they gotta live with these repairs longer than that? Oh, man, there's some people that are really upset.
My worst. I hear you. Okay, I'll tell you, I've had some interesting personal stories with the roads people don't even know, like who they're talking to, and then like they're mixing up a storm about these roads. What's wrong with your roads? It's like, no. The other question is, do we just assume that we're going to stay away from all the OU2 roadways until next year at the earliest, and focus on what would be the next batch of roads we would do with pace setter aside?
Right.
Because then we do the normal road resurfacing programs for some other roads, and that's what I have some suggestions of what those roads would be and what is kind of I did bring one big map.
All right. But just to back, so the 500,000 that was actually planned was the whole roads. So, and again, I'm just doing easy math. So we really only need 250 to do the other half of just pace setters alone. And 250 sitting from last year's road repair budget, and we're budgeting in 250 this year. So in theory, we could put pace setters back together on the money that we're currently working with.
Yeah, it being that half is going to be
Right.
by then.
Right, okay.
Right.
All right. But you're thinking that we should be moving on to going to the other ones? And we have your list of worst to best, with some that are already being clipped out. So in theory, well, like you've got Strunk's Lane down here as one of the worst. West Avenue's already been done.
Yep.
Dumont, Rickline Hill Road,
Yeah,
Water Tower Road. Where's Water Tower Road fitting into this water project, or is there nothing going on that?
No, that's gonna get done.
Right, okay.
Yeah, no, that gets done by
And is that going to be the whole road more than likely? Because it's not much of a road to begin with.
No, it's hardly.
Right.
A road. It's a glorified,
Okay. So then you're kind of looking at the next major road, and I'm skipping over Dumont way up there, Arbor, Holsheiser. I know, Joe, you were talking about doing some things in the Heights, but that's not Cedar Alley, it's not Holsheiser. Rickline, you really didn't have any plans for either, right?
Holsizer was gonna do a block between
Beacon and, right. So the next major road that you're looking at is Kennedy Mill Road in itself. And Kennedy Mill Road, not only are you talking about blacktop down there, the curbs are completely degenerated, correct? You know, so that's a monster project.
The center of the road's about, let's say, 10 inches higher than the curb line? That's really,
it's a quite a crown, it sure is.
Is that from just going over it so many times, or is
yeah,
that just...
because I think that's been overlaid twice by the road department when John was here. We overlaid that twice in the 30 years.
Which road is this?
Kennedy Mill Road.
30 years? That road's like 45 years old now. 73.
70, mid-late 70.
Oh, yeah, about 74.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, 74, right around there, yeah. So, all right, so Mike, go ahead,
And let me-
so what are you thinking?
Let me, this is real important. The prices that you're looking at on these spreadsheets.
Are 5 years old,
Yeah, well, and
4 years old, right?
the co-op numbers are now at like $75 a ton. So even from last year, so you're not getting nearly the bang for your buck.
No,
that you had in the
understood.
past. For instance, just as an example, Alden Road. We looked at that with the new co-op prices. We have 118 here as the estimate. It's now at the again, using the co-op, 140. So.
Right.
So
No, I
you
expected
gotta look
there
at that.
to be differences.
Here's what and I said it's Donna Becker and myself from our office when we went over this yesterday, saying, okay, and she's well aware of the big picture and what's going on. We kind of said, okay, if we're going to stay away from the OU2 project roads, that next year, we'll deal with that next year. And we want to resume the resurfacing program. That we're trying to pick some, let's say, some little more hierarchy type of roadways, more traffic, more houses, etc. Those would be Robert Place, Kennedy Mill Road, Bradford Lane, and Alden Road. That was what we kind of thought would be the next group of roads, which is consistent with, and unfortunately, you guys can't see this because I gave you the small maps. If you look at in the lower left of the maps we handed out, it kind of goes through the program estimates that we had put together back in 2015. And for a couple of years there, we were on a pretty good roll. The 2015 roads got done, all of them, that we listed. Greens Ridge, Stones Crossing, Standish Place, and West Avenue by the township. Then the 2016 roads. Fox Run was done again by the township, and New Village. Now, we didn't do, but we did do Birch, which is listed next at the 2016, 2017 roads. So, I mean, the program has been somewhat, kind of on schedule, with last year being the exception and kind of a little blip there. So, if you go down to the next batch of roads that we had, and this goes back to 2015 when we graded everything out and looked at the global picture. And on this chart, there were two things that we considered and did not include those roads on this list, and that was the roads that were impacted by the water main project and potential grant roadways, which we ended up getting Stewartsville Road, Washington Street. So that actually played itself out. So the next roads, if you go down the list, you can see where it says 2017 roads, it says Alden, Bradford, Lauren. And we just looked at it again closer in-house and we kind of modified that a little bit. And we said Bradford, Alden, Kennedy, Mill, and Robert, because Kennedy, Mill, and Robert are, as we talked about, patchy. Like, real patchy. And we also, let me give you this number just for to chew on here. Based on the current co-op pricing and the fact that we looked at this a little different, that we were going to do, instead of just an overlay, we're going to do a mill and an overlay. Because when you can't overlay on crap, pardon my technical terminology. If the road is all beat up, you can't just throw an overlay in. So, if you, just real quick. So those four roads again, it's a 2-inch mill, and a 2-inch overlay. We've got the that puts us at $555,000 for all those four roads in their entirety, the 2-inch mill, and then the 2-inch overlay. The X factor, and Joe said it, we've all said it, is curb repair, inlets, upgrading of grates from a stormwater management compliance issue. So, that's. No, but
What?
I mean, we're in the ballpark.
What are the four roads that are part of that estimate?
Robert Place and Kennedy Mill Road, which are the roads that goes off of Maple Avenue, kind of nearing Greenwich Hills. And then Bradford Lane, and Alden Road. Because we did Standish a couple of years ago. So we've got a good chunk of the old Ladocks development done. We got Kennedy Mills is done now. So it's in an effort to try to focus on areas you've done some work to try to kind of complete some development roadways. God forbid when we're getting into the Wyndham Farm and Greenwich Chase projects now, County Road. That's County Road. So that's.
So Boulevard gets pushed back? Is that one not as bad as the other ones?
No, it's not. Plus, we haven't started doing anything on Stewart's Hunt. So, in an effort to try to focus on getting certain older developments, and that's a little bit newer development than the old Ladocks development or Standish and all these. So, you got any? So you basically on board with what we're saying here, or what are
Yeah,
your thoughts?
like I said, without doing paper.
Yeah, me too.
Well,
There's some squeaky wheels in there.
Well, just Pace Better and Ladocks.
So that would use the whole 500,000 just for them. There would be no money left to do the whole road in Pace Center,
No,
right?
correct.
How old's Bradford? That's a newer road.
That is a newer road, but it's a little more
Where's
beat up.
It's 24, 25 years old.
No.
95, 96, that was built, right?
It's
I think it's like the 2000s.
No, it's not. See,
thought it was like
I think it's
Linda.
1995, 96, I think, yeah.
Where is it?
Over in my area there.
Oh, okay.
Behind the dog kennel and stuff. That's
Okay.
all those folks who were,
Oh, is that in Greenwich Hills?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, does it look like you're gonna have another 250, then there's 500 we're talking about here? Okay, 'cause I don't know how.
Well,
long that-
Kathleen would prefer us not to be spending anywhere near that number. But
Kathleen's-
but in theory, that's what it's lined up for.
Okay.
You know, we just have to discuss it. That's why you were here, to bring some clarity to that.
Yeah, so,
That's 550 for asphalt only, though. Milling and
That's
asphalt.
fine.
That's
Yeah,
not for
right.
curbing, drainage, and...
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the curbing and all that is not included into that number, right? Right.
That's what I'm saying,
Well,
yeah.
we're
Yeah.
gonna need that number.
Yeah, you're gonna need that, and I'm gonna tell you, that curbing, that's not cheap.
I know, no,
That's not
So
cheap.
you're gonna-
Actually, it'll surpass the blacktop.
You gonna get us that number too?
well, that,
We
to be
gotta,
honest with you,
if we're gonna
we
spend it, we gotta
start
budget for it.
replacing curb, and because then it becomes a case of, okay, where do we draw the line between what gets repointed and what gets replaced? And you're probably gonna want to, if you start working on curb, you're gonna end up doing that.
No, well, right, well, I can, again, just from visual, there's not much curb left on Robert. I can't speak for Kennedy Mills, I don't think that close, but on Robert, I mean, it's deteriorated. You know, it's rounded off, it's down. So I don't know how you mill 2 inches off and then not do something about the curb. You know, unless you just take sections.
Well, it's more the reason too, to support the milling, so as to.
Right.
Because you're gonna expose some curb base that's been.
Right.
built.
Well, you're gonna have to make that determination.
Right, well, yeah, all right.
So you'll have to get back to us with that number.
Yeah, I mean, you can come up with a generic linear foot number, we don't have to make it a big project. I mean, you should be able to put together, 1 foot costs this.
Well, we have all those photos we've taken, now granted, they're a couple of years old, but,
Does it have to be done along with the paving, or you could do it after? How's that
no,
work?
it has to be done before.
Before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Either you just don't do it, but if you're gonna do it, it's gotta be done before.
Okay.
And the grant is for which road?
The grant is from the Franklin boundary on Stewartsville Road, basically to him. So Stewartsville Road, and then what becomes Washington Street.
Okay.
And that was $155,000, I believe, is what we got.
So as it is, without even that number, we're
155.
50-something over?
Mhm. Yeah, that's not gonna be like another 20.
No.
No, because we're, I think, based upon those numbers, we're gonna have to modify
Yeah.
the program a little bit. And
Right.
either Substitute a small road, or do a little, just eliminate a road altogether, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's actually, and I'm sure you guys think the same way. It's shocking, even to me, who does this all the time, of how expensive it is to pay, and how, we're talking $500,000 to do, 4 rural road. I mean, it's $500,000 we're talking about here. But it is what it is.
No, it is what it is.
Yeah.
What's the life of after paving? How long is it supposed to last?
25, 20 to 30, 20 is...
Well, I think they use
Very
20 is basically what I think they plan on.
Well-
Is that right, Joe, 20?
Well, I
Yeah.
think from a bonding standpoint, they
Right.
it out at 20.
I think we gotta get the numbers and then see how it falls in line.
Well, exactly, that's all this
I do have
was.
to say this, though, and this is, the only thing worse than paying taxes is paying taxes and getting nothing for what you're paying.
Right, right.
And I think and we have to see what the total numbers are, I don't know that if we should shy away from taxes to cut corners on the roads, because roads is something people see, they use, and I think they feel like, well, you know, maybe I went up a couple cents, but the roads are getting fixed, you know, so
Right.
I just think it's something to think of. I mean, who knows how the Londos fall in the end.
No, well, we'll have to see at the end, right?
But the problem is, the $500,000 is a lot for us.
Yep.
Because we all know one penny is only 60,000. So in order to pay for that whole thing would be a 9 cents, 10-cent raise, and that's not happening.
Well, your comment, Bob, is right on point as far as the visibility factor, if you will. I mean, what's more visible than the resurfacing of the road as far as from a,
Yeah.
you know, the public perception of things? Because when we did Birch and Green, Kennedy Mills. We did Kennedy Mills.
Standish, or,
Birch, and those roads, we got so many people thanking us, and, you know,
Yeah.
it was like the greatest thing ever, which was nice. But,
I mean, you finally see something for your tax dollars. So. But like I said, the problem is,
oh, it's just so damn
$500,000 is a lot of money for us.
I have one question, and this is to do with 173 bridge closing and Beatty Road being considered the bypass road. I see Mike has it on there for a possible grant. Hopefully it will. I was thinking, I know Mike has pictures and stuff, but what if we talk to Dave DeBoer and have him take his little helicopter
Drone.
and do a video of that road before that impact comes on. And then after the detour is all done, re-video it so we have a comparison of the impact before the detour happened and
right.
after.
Well, and that, actually, I was gonna ask Mike about that too, because I know that's one of the ones that you were kind of talking about, Grant. The fact that the state's shutting that down and using that as a primary, shouldn't that at least help it?
Yes, absolutely. You know, the fact that it's a kind of a fairly significant thoroughfare in the township, you know, municipally owned. I mean, traffic counts on skyrocket.
Right.
You know, no, that would be, we got a grant for Beatty's Road, 15 years ago? Don't remember when we did Beatty's the last time? Yeah, whatever. But whatever it was, a number of years ago. You know, but that was well over 200,000 back then. And
Right.
I don't remember what the pavement cost was. So,
When's this, how soon can you put in for a grant, or do we wait for to get done, the bridge project, before we work on it?
yeah.
I mean, well, I'm saying, can't you start the paperwork sooner versus later?
No, let's wait until, I mean, the 2019 applications were filed 2 months back.
Right.
As you know. The 2020 applications will probably come out, they usually come out late summertime
Right.
kind of thing, so I think we make the application then. And then if we're fortunate enough to get it, then we wait the detour out and we do it after that. So.
And then, on a side note, since the last meeting, have you been in communication with the county about potentially changing the stop signs?
No, I haven't spoken with them yet.
All right, 'cause
So,
we want to look at
I'm
that.
waiting to give Bill a call on a couple different matters, to
Right.
be honest, but,
Well, because that project's going to start soon, and it may end up being the mess that we don't want it to be. I mean,
oh, you got a couple stop signs in the garage, or?
Yeah, he wasn't here. Some residents down there, wanted,
We talked about this before.
the three, you know where Beatty's comes together with Old Greenwich Church?
Yes.
They thought it might be nice to try to make that a three-way stop at this stage of the game, or at least a two-way, to help stem traffic flow. So we were going to ask Mike to ask to the county, because Old Greenwich Church is a county road. But you're saying, ask Joe and just go up there and temporarily do it regardless?
I was being sarcastic. I was not asking.
All right, no, but anyway, but what's going to happen, because I've been, and yesterday, I'm going to use Prospect Street here as a perfect example, you know, because the light was out and there was a detour, and a tractor trailer that's not supposed to be on our road was on our road anyway. Well, it took out the whole section of guardrail by the bridge. got hung up and everything else like that. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, there's gonna be a tractor trailer coming down 173. It's gonna make the left onto Old Greenwich Church Road. It's gonna try to make the left onto Beatty's. That's gonna be a problem. I already see that. Gonna be, and I'm not telling you this is once or twice, this is gonna be a day-to-day occurrence for quite a while. And I don't know how that, I don't think you're gonna avoid it. The chief's not gonna be able to put a car out
Run
there.
over going from 173.
Huh?
Well, I'm gonna roll one over going
Oh,
from
yeah, yeah, no,
173
no. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a nightmare coming up there, so we don't wanna
It's
waste
gonna go.
too much time trying to get something down there changed and fixed anyway, because it's gonna be a nightmare for everybody down there for a year. I can guarantee that.
Okay.
You think these people at Paysetters are upset?
Okay. Are we done with the road then?
Yes, we are. And then, Joe, I got one question before you move on your way.
Don't go down, I haven't. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Any progress on the conversation, or did the snow get in the way about lease purchasing?
Yeah, now,
Okay, no, don't worry, I don't want another word on it then, that's fine. Yep, you got it,
I'll make a phone call.
you got it, okay.
Frank wasn't here, and he just had asked me about the, I know I sent you the email, I sent him the email eventually over the garbage up in the Wyndham Farm
Yes,
area.
in the detention area.
Joe's gonna take care of that as soon as the weather permits.
Yep.
The wet thing. You said, Bob Vetcherson?
Bob Etcherson gets the fire cadets and
But they
miscellaneous.
can only do what?
Town, well, roads and municipal property.
So they could do Greenwich Street, both sides and
Absolutely,
stuff?
absolutely.
That's municipal property.
Yeah, that's municipal property
Yeah,
where
but-
we're having a problem.
Yeah, but, I mean, you're not gonna have them come all the way down? Can they come all the way down Greenwich?
They can, yes.
Okay.
They have before, yes.
Okay, because I'll let that, person who sent the
I
email.
mean, you might want to take a look at that in the future, because a lot of the garbage from the malls, all on...
Well, we're working on that, Bob's, I gotta tell you, and I'll get to the Bob Vetcherson plugs soon when we get to his point, but yeah, he's been putting a lot of time up there. We're working with toll brothers and stuff like that. Things have gotten a little better. It just recently, it all went to crap with the windstorm.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
I mean, that was an extraordinary event.
It was. But, it is so on our radar that we're working on improving the conditions up there,
Okay.
and stuff like that. We're working on that.
And then the other thing is, you saw, I've been going back and forth with Joe on these hay bales that have been sitting in, they've been sitting there, I would say, I don't know, it might be close to 6 months now. I don't even, close to that,
Yeah, I think they did them in November, sure.
right?
Yeah,
So,
no,
and they're rotting,
they're rotting.
and Cliff, I don't know if Cliff is capable, is it Cliff's?
Yeah.
I don't know if he's capable, I don't know what's going on with Cliff, that he's not picking them up. But we may have to come up with a solution.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of on board with what Cliff had told Joe, and he had emailed us. You know, it was way wet, the collateral damage was there, then they were frozen to the ground. There were a variety of abnormal delays because of the weather last year that prevented him from doing that. I think Cliff will be better moving forward, but
But we still don't have a time frame on these.
they're frozen to the ground in the snow right now, and even after...
Oh, is that what's going on?
Yeah.
All right, I didn't know that.
Because if he goes to pick one up right now, the bottom's coming in
Well, I
there.
can tell you right now, some of them are
Some are gonna do that, right,
Well, they're
right.
already disintegrating.
They're already.
Because they're sitting in the water
And
basins.
and he doesn't want to create a lot of collateral damage trying to get them out of there because it's so wet.
All right.
You know, so there's been issues that are
Maybe
creating
I don't know if
that.
we have to put something in there, that they gotta be taken out of there in a certain amount of time after they're made.
Well, like I said, I think Cliff has gotten the idea that things won't quite
Okay.
go so far off.
Okay, that's it.
You know, they're easy to talk to sometimes.
So how are we leaving off on the road, so Joe,
Well, we're gonna have to discuss
like,
it.
you're gonna get us costs for curbing?
I'm gonna get you some costs for curbing, and, I'll get her to send out a simple little spreadsheet with a couple different options.
Right, with alternatives.
One, let's say, maybe with the pace setter roads, and one without, like we talked about. And then you'll have something a little more,
You're gonna give us a $500,000 option?
well, that's something, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna be trying to get it to around that number. Is that we, it's there, correct?
Well, it's there, but it's there, but Kathleen said she would really prefer us only to use 250 of it.
I'm worried about going over. That's what I was concerned with.
And Kathleen should share with us when the time comes as to why her concerns are her concerns. So, all right, I'm cool. Mike and Joe, everybody, we done with these guys? Can they go on their way?
I think so.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Have a good night now.
You too, Joe, thanks for everything.
show you soon.
I would love it.
Because you probably don't, you hear Canyon Mill Road, I'm sure you don't know where that is. Right.
I know Willow Grove, and I hate that I go.
Are you here for hours for your downstairs too? That's all part of this, right? Okay, so who wants to go first, you, Lisa? Okay.
My proposed change to the office hours would be from having our full-time staff to have her go back to what the previous schedule was when I first started here, which included the 3 hours on Fridays. The tax trust and I both agree that those were beneficial hours. We went from 24 to 20, I'm sorry, went from 27 hours back to 24, and 3 of those hours were then meant to be sort of flexible to work with the tax trust and evening, and that has been largely unrealized and unutilized. So it seems that it would be better to go back to the previous schedule. And my only additional request is that instead of a 1 hour unpaid lunch in the middle of the day, that go to half an hour. So it would really just be an increase of the 2 hours to the 29, and I think that better covers the office hours.
What hours would you be here?
This just reflects what we had originally started as the open office hours
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
public. But I'm here until whenever, usually until 7:30.
No, but I mean, when would the half-hour lunch be? Would you be here to cover the half-hour lunch, or would we close for a half an hour?
No, we're going to be closed a half hour.
Honestly,
closed?
most days I absolutely could be here to cover that. That's not a problem at all. It would not be a problem for me to cover half hour. This would be just saying that it's closed and that it's an unpaid half an hour.
Yeah.
But if you guys wanted me to be here at lunch, I am often anyway.
So from 10, who would work from 10 to what time, and what time do you pick up? Or like, how
The
would...
collections clerk would be from 10 until 5,
Okay.
with obviously the Friday being the 9 to 12 again.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get here around 3:10 every day and stay until whenever, but, you know, the proposed open office hours is still
Till 7.
6:30 or 7.
6 a.m.
So it's really not much of an adjustment over what was original. I'm discussing with Bonnie, she thinks that this makes the most sense to have a little overlap on her 2 evenings, and then, you know, provide the project.
Right. Did we ever get a definitive answer between Piper and Lavery about when what kicks in?
I did not get a response from Mike Lavery, and the response that I received from Jim Piper, I distributed to everybody, and it basically reiterates what I provided to you guys, which brought up the state website.
So he's still saying 32 is okay, Jim Piper?
So, you know, Kathleen and I spoke about this before the meeting. There was some confusion as to whether Mike Lavery had been the one who had proposed that 27 hours. Obviously, it predates me, you know, much more. I wish he had...
What's Piper's? Piper saying 32 is
He's in
okay?
agreement with me that we adopt by resolution and then we submit to the state what we consider full-time and benefits eligible. It cannot be less than 25, so my suggestion would be to set it at 35 and avoid the issue.
Okay. So, I guess,
I believe Kathleen believes that we currently have it set at 32, correct?
Well, 32 is pensionable, regardless of any resolution. For health benefits, yes, right. You can set it as per your resolution.
And honestly, now that, I don't want to like use specific names, but if we're not looking to hit that 32-hour mark, we could do a resolution saying that that's our full-time mark, you know, instead of 35.
then why don't we, can you forward the information from Jim to Lavery and see if he disagrees with that and ask him why? So we can get a definitive answer. Because I think the problem last time was Jim was going by what the state's acceptable, but then I think Mike was answering on what the Affordable Care Act requires. I think that's where the discrepancy came in. So I think one was quoting state requirements and data, And the other one, I think, was answered based on the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah, I think the Care Act is 30 hours.
That's why I think that's where the argument came in, yeah. That's where I think that came in. And then pretty much for you, the secretary will be, depending on what our answer is on that too, right?
As I said at the end of, last question.
Now, that's a
I'm just
nice,
asking for.
that's a nice font for old people up there.
How about it? You know?
Compared to
Better
that-
than the monthly.
compared to this.
I'm just basing it, this is different than my 2017 memo that I sent out, which I was asking for 32 hours. I'm just asking for 30 hours a week, which is one more hour a day. She works 24 hours a week, so, or excuse me, 25 hours a week. So it's be 30 hours a week. And the addition, it would be, is 5,200 annually for what she's making now. And, I mean, we're the only police department that I know of in the county that doesn't have a full-time secretary. We're definitely up there with being one of the business departments, taking out Washington Township, Phillipsburg, Hackettstown, which are the largest departments in the county. We definitely have the largest caseload. And if she was at a 40-hour full-time, which was, I mean, kind of kicking around what full-time is, I was looking in the manual, in our employee manual, I see no mention of what is defined as full-time and what is defined as part-time. There's nothing set in our employee manual that I can find at all. But if it was a 40-hour, if she was doing a full-time 40-hour, which is what our previous police secretary was doing, and she was doing overtime above that, if she did full-time at her current rate, that would be an additional $10,400, which, you know, I'm not asking for right now. I'm just asking for a couple more hours. Additionally, we had spoken about the major duties and whatnot, which, you know, go above and beyond what our normal hours. And typically, when she's called out for major duty, it's at night usually, because she's here during the day, so it's no harm, no foul. She's working, she's puts her work aside and does major duties. But something in the employee manual to define how to, or an ordinance or what have you, to define how to accomplish.
We don't have anything right now set aside for that, because I see when we pay,
Well, because because our former secretary was full-time, so she would get time and a half for people at the interviews, but, I mean, if we get an arrest at 1 in the morning, we call the matron out at 1 in the morning, she's getting just her straight time rate for it. I mean, all the guys for their contract, they get called out, whether they're in for an hour or 3 hours, they're getting paid for a minimum of 3 hours. So, I'm just looking to compensate them, save the budget. Would that be monetarily more expensive?
Yeah, does she take most of it in comp time now, or does it, or is it, yes?
Yes, because she's part-time, she's not allotted any vacation.
Right.
Or she's in vacation or personal time, so if she wants to take off, she has to use comp time, when she doesn't get paid for it, so, also going back to our manual, it doesn't define what full-time, part-time is, so,
ways, or i.e., getting something on the record defining vested time for a part-time employee.
Do we run into similar issues with road crew part-time guys, Paul, or not?
No, we haven't. At this point, they're all pretty much under, when they don't work, they don't work. Right. And I have read the employee manual. I'm not recalling anything. I haven't read it recently. So the chief's probably right. I don't even think I have a copy of it.
I did mention, I don't see anything really establishing a contract procedure.
Right.
I have that for everybody.
Yeah, I don't have it with me right now.
She was like,
Well, it's probably something that we need to work out.
and Public Works is implementing it and show reports on it. And I believe that they get their comp time for like snow call-outs at 1.5.
The full-time guys.
Like what Joe put into 1.5.
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah, but Joe, I think everybody else just takes it in straight overtime.
And Joe's
Yeah,
the only one. that-
Joe's the only one that takes
Yeah.
comp time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on that?
No.
Lily, do you have historical, do you have anything on the animal control? Anybody, did you talk to any, about anything?
I didn't.
No,
I'll
okay.
reach out to that
I just
person.
happen to think of it right now, so.
But I will give you the Historical Society. Currently, they have $4,020 in their account. They will turn that over to Kathleen to open a trust account with the approval of the DCA, but they want to ensure that they will get their stipend from 2018, which was $1,500 they never received.
And is that true, Kathleen? They never received it? How come? Just an oversight on our part?
No, I thought we had held it up because we were trying to get to.
Oh, okay, but it's there, though. It was allocated.
No, it's there.
Okay.
Yep.
2019, we go to from the $1,500 to a $2,000 flat donation every year. And we would collect the yard sale money. They wouldn't get any of that back. They're willing to do all that if we agree that when all those totals come up to $6,520, we will still allow them to turn in receipts to Kathleen for the $2,500 for that placard that they're already having taken care of. $300 to the Scouts, the Boy Scouts, they've already agreed to give them $300, and they'll back everything that they're asking for. And then they want to purchase and plant a tree for somebody named Agnes, who passed away, that was a very big person.
Agnes Hamlin.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Agnes Hamlin?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the person at the park, we purchased the land at the park from.
Is that an
So,
acceptable way for you to do all this?
Yes.
Okay.
All right,
That
and just
was our
out of
biggest problem
curiosity,
with
Lily,
the money there.
did they say how much money they wanted to spend for the tree and stuff like that?
they did not.
Okay.
Do you have some suggestions?
Well,
I'll bring
no,
it
well,
back to
I
them.
mean, I deal with wholesalers all the time, so they should certainly
I'll
give
tell
me a
them
phone
that.
call, and let's see what we can buy at cost.
So if we are agreeable to all that, they said that I am agreeable being on the committee to say yes. If you would say yes, they're willing to do that. Go
Now,
forward.
because we figured it was about 1,500, so we always got in the money from the the cleanup and stuff like that, wasn't it? Not that we have good records, but...
No,
From
yeah.
what I can gather, what they took in 2016 for the 2 yard sales was $390 and $115. In 2017, it was $195 and $320. So we're talking
It's just
$1,020 in 2 years.
We're already giving 1,500, so...
It's not the cleanup, though, it's the yard sales?
Yeah, that's the yard sale, right?
It's not the...
So to say 2,000 wouldn't be a significant amount. So, I mean, we could handle that.
No, I just came up with this so that we're collecting money and
Yeah.
just getting stuff.
So what I'm saying is, between where we give them the difference, we kind of make up with that.
It's a wash.
So, yeah.
Essentially, it'll be a wash, but it's clean.
So, we-
Because he did say we still owe him a lot more money that we stole from them. I go, well, look, I have no...
you have to show me that, and I was on the committee when that was taken.
Yeah.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
He's talking about receipts that people were given for, and gave money to the township, and we took all cash and it was their money. I said, well, prove it. And he said, no, it's your
We
problem.
have to take that up with the previous clerk.
Correct, and he said he won't.
So, but they're agreeable at this point?
Yes.
And we're all gonna be friends from here on?
Yes.
Greg's not gonna sneer at me every time I walk by him and stuff?
I would also like to add that Kathleen went through the process of printing out all of the clerk's income, and it's not there, so.
Well, I can tell you that I'd be favorable for that, so I don't know, I mean, we're not taking votes.
I mean, we can't really decide that tonight, I think,
It's gonna be part of the whole budget
part of the whole
package.
package, but it sounds like a win to me.
Yeah, it's-
Okay.
You have anything against it?
Right.
Sounds like an easy.
That's what Kathleen and I think.
You got the plaque down
As
there?
long as it's
What do
okay
you
with
think
you,
about it?
mechanism
They're
wise.
getting it done, yes.
Thank God, check that one. And I'm moving.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
we gotta bring that up, Brad. They wanna place the plaque on the building.
On the building. Because they wanted to put it on a
I don't have a
rock.
problem with it.
And they were told that over time, the rock will start cracking, and then it will have to be, they want it
Find the
somewhere where it wouldn't be.
I bet you a rock has a longer,
Well, I was gonna-
that's a longer longevity to the building.
I'm gonna argue that, only because I'm gonna argue that. I've been working around rocks for a long time. And a good hammer drill and some stuff, and that sign's gonna be there well past our lifetime, without a problem. But, I mean, if it's no big deal, then the building it is,
I
but,
don't have a problem. Well, we have to, I guess, is that something we have to run by the open space, or is that something we decide? Well, ultimately we do, but do we want to run?
I don't see any harm in running the by, you might have a better suggestion.
Okay.
That even the historical
Yeah.
society might agree to, so.
but that rock thing is, I don't know who told them that, but that's not true.
I gotta believe it depends on the size of the rock, too.
Well, there's some truth to
You
that.
bring a nice big rock.
That rock that they're talking about is plenty big up there.
So, well,
But anyway, that can go on, so.
What's happening with the pavilion? I know we rejected this
We'll go
Um,
out for bid again, right?
again,
I think so, yeah.
with the same specs?
yeah, I don't think they made a decision
I think
yet.
that's what the direction was.
And then the last thing too is because I think when we get down to finally talking about each office individually, I know Lillian's got some conversation that she wants to have, I have some conversation that I want to have. I'd like to Rice notice all our office staff, just so that we can talk about them as an individual department head kind of thing.
okay.
They don't need to be here, we're not talking about disciplinary issues or anything like that. It's just what's going on in the office. I know you talked about maybe looking to try to get everybody a little bit extra. We have to be able to have some forward conversations that I think they need to know that we're going to have. And I think by law, we need to send a Rice notice out to them.
Okay. When is our next meeting?
Next Tuesday is our next budget meeting. Correct? Yes.
So the 12th?
48 hours notice.
Yeah.
Are we required to be certified? Or is it not? Is that what you...
You can print them up and, does labor review them? He used to, but I don't know, do you need to, does he need to review, or you can do it with it?
I mean, they're standard.
They're pretty generic,
Brad.
boilerplate.
Did you hear what number we're starting at? Yeah. Because you weren't
I
here.
was gonna say, it just
Maybe you need to know,
rundown.
yeah.
Not to be gloomy and gloomy, but, so, with the numbers that Brad, we had talked about this, I kept everything flat from last year with the exception of the statutory expenditures that we're responsible for. We're at a 2.8% tax increase, and I'm not sure this was stressed at a previous budget meeting, but we only have $35,000 of cash flow. So within caps, we can only go up $35,000. So we add something, we got to take it from somewhere else. I'm hearing that we can expect our court revenues to go down based on a new agreement with COHAT. There's potential for a house removal cost of $40,000. We have the $150,000 remaining balance of tax appeal money that's going to hit fund balance that I've already paid out in January. Increased fire hydrant costs for what development?
Pay setters.
Potential for increased park bids and the lease contract.
What do you mean potential for increased park bids? Thing for the pavilion?
No.
Oh, for the lawnmower?
Lawnmower, yeah.
Lawnmower, yeah.
And whether the
So
lawn mowing bid
2.8
went
cents, Brad, Without
out,
doing anything, without adding anything.
and 1.8 of it was obligatory that you can't get out of regardless. And on the mowing end of it, even if we choose to do it in-house, it still looks like Joe might need to add an additional part-timer, so there's a cost to it regardless. You know, that was some chatter. We don't know that for a fact yet.
Which piece of it?
Unless we can
The park.
take it from OS. We don't know yet. Unless we can take it from OS, though. yeah?
Well, I believe we can take it from OS.
So it would be a budget.
Yeah, you're right. It would be a budget. It'd be an OS
So
thing.
the second part-time for, because we added a part-time.
Right,
last
well, that was just some conversation that we had where he thought, we were not sure, but he wants to allocate one person to do the trash,
Well, there is more this year because we added 10 feet.
the inspection, right, there's gonna be some more.
So there's
But
more
again,
overall.
that's just chatter, but again, that was open space, so it's not a general fund issue, so I think we're good on that.
Till the open space committee here.
Yeah,
So next week, we gotta come and decide what we're cutting out, basically.
well, you have to talk about who's getting a little more and who's getting cut, right?
Yeah,
Um,
everything. Because I'm assuming after that, you're gonna want me to put the numbers back in, and then we'll come back and say this is where we're at.
So
Then we cut again.
2.8, which is, and then another 35 you can go up as the max.
That's within.
Within the cap.
Outside cap, you can do whatever you want, you're just increasing your tax rate. But within caps, which is all your salaries and wages.
Well, everything we're
operating-
talking about is in the cap other than the roads, right?
Yes. Yep.
So hours are.
Even the house is inside the cap, knock it down, can't it be considered like an emergency, one-time expenditure or anything like that?
If we do an emergency, you're just gonna tack it on to next year's budget anyway.
And it's still gonna be within the cap.
Yep.
Like, there's no way to get that outside the cap? It's an extraordinary situation, that's why I'm asking. I mean, how many times are we gonna have to knock down a house, you know? Seems unfair to have it in the cap.
We own that property.
How much is the house, to knock down the house?
39,000 and change.
To me, that's a perfect thing for a deferred.
Wait a second, we own that property, right?
Right, and I mean, we may be able to sell it to a neighbor.
You know what, I forgot too, did you guys have any time to meet, do anything about the leads or anything yet? I'm sure you have.
Yeah, haven't even thought about it, to be honest.
I just don't.
I
Yeah,
forgot.
I know, I did.
And it's not gonna be worth a whole lot to either neighbor, you know, but we might be able to cover a little bit. And there's a gentleman here who owns property down in the center of town that might almost be interested in purchasing it strictly for his tenants to park on, you know, particularly on snow events and things of that nature. I think I could see him spending a little money there, not paving it or anything like that, just putting stone down. But access is a bit of an issue.
Would you have to change the zoning, though? You probably have to change the zoning.
I don't know that it's really a zoning issue. I mean, if you bought a piece of property, you know, and
It's residential property.
right, but it's,
You have to have a dwelling on
it
it?
would have to, well,
They gotta look into that.
I guess we would have to look into it. Because right now, in the future, he's going to be using, on snow events, he's going to be using the municipal lot to park tenants, because they've been getting ticketed out on the road because of the lack of parking.
Which municipal lot?
Right here. You-
Park tenants?
Well, just on snow days. You know, they're always on the road.
But how's that allowed?
It's allowed, if you look it up. You're allowed to park, well, it's a municipal lot. Mike Lavery said anybody can park here. The only rule that no, you can park overnight. The rule is you're not allowed to park here for more than 24 hours in the same spot.
Really?
Yeah, you can park overnight here.
So that means if somebody has a house across the street and they can park their car there every
They
night?
could, yes.
Oh, we gotta look at
Some
that.
of them do it.
I don't think that's right.
You could potentially probably buy a permit for it. You know, and now Mr. Haver's not planning on his people doing this regularly. It's on the snow days, they've got one vehicle that they can't fit in. But I do think that problem might become a little bit more as the Cannonball Pool problem gets solved, because he's got 3 spot cars parking in an area that he's only allowed to have 1, because of the line of sight issue. Now, if they get it all approved and they go back to parking there, I don't know. But if you look at
How
this,
did we acquire this lot that we're demoing the house on?
Okay.
We foreclosed on that.
Yeah, we foreclosed on it, yeah.
So can you, going back to that, Kathleen, can you find out,
Well,
being that it's,
that's what the ordinance now.
town property,
Something to look into.
we do a demolition,
No,
that's an
I'm not
improvement.
either.
I'm looking at right now.
So wouldn't that be considered a capital expenditure?
If somebody was renting out their house,
It's
they're
only
gonna live
outside
there.
the count.
And we're gonna have their residents park there?
Yeah,
I would think
one
that,
of his as it is.
that would be
Well, in the
a
meantime,
improvement to the lot.
Does anybody have an underground tank?
No, the tank's in the basement. It's not underground.
Yeah, like I said, I think we should at least look and see to get it outside. I don't see where they should be in.
I think because it's a town, though, I would think it's a...
It's a one-time, yeah, but it's a one-time thing. It's not,
Well, it's not, even if it's one time, that would fall under the emergency appropriation, whereas because it's a town property, and you're making an improvement to it, I think you can make an argument whether or not
it's a
it's
capital.
capital
Yeah,
improvement.
yeah.
you know.
Well, either way, you gotta come up with money.
Well, but it, yeah,
It doesn't matter.
but at least it's easier outside.
Easier outside, but you're still gonna come up with the money,
Yeah.
right? The other option is, if it's a one-time expenditure, it's only 40,000.
And the other thing is, there's really no option. We gotta get that down before somebody gets
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And that's,
But it's a liability waiting to happen.
yeah.
Almost gonna do it.
No, right.
I mean, look, if you do it, you know, I'm not saying you want to do this, but you cut your road budget by 40 grand. That's a capital budget, so.
No, and that may very well be where it comes from. No, no,
It might have to be
I mean, the road,
if you run less road.
this town is taken from the roads from forever when money needed to go elsewhere, so, but it
Eventually
may-
you're gonna pay the piper.
no, exactly, right,
Yeah, but-
but it might not have to be this year.
That's my insurance numbers too, because I can't remember if I added the recreation policy, so I gotta double check that, and the employee health insurance line, and we'll look at it too.
The other thing, Brad, to your point about the vacant property registration, that's the whole point of that, is to then use that money to take care of property.
Stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's up in our map, so
Exactly,
if
yes.
there's any new ones, I know Joe was gonna look at that address that you had mentioned.
Yeah.
You guys would know better than I going through town, so I'll get you an
We gotta-
updated
we
list of
gotta
where we
keep
stand with all
enforcing
them, and
it.
if there's anyone missing.
Well, Lisa's doing a much better job of communicating and enforcing. We've collected far more in the last 14 months than
And this year, a lot of those are gonna be up for the $3,000.
Right,
bill, so
right.
That puts us in a better position for 2019, so
Yeah.
letters are out, we'll see.
So Chief, you thought there was no overnight parking?
The 12, you said 24 hours?
Yeah,
That's 12 hours.
oh, 12 hours consecutively? Okay. I thought it was 24, but...
I think you probably gotta look at that, because we don't have enough parking there as it
No,
is.
well, again, if we don't advertise it, I don't think it's an issue, you know, with it across the street and stuff like that. And the fact, and I think Mike Lavery, because remember Arcadia wanted to put signs dedicated to them while they're here? And Mike Lavery point blank said, no, it's a municipal parking lot, you can't do that. You know, you can't reserve, you know, the municipal lot for special people and parking and stuff like that, so.
If I knew they were gonna be so difficult about fixing the road, they would never let them park.
Yeah, well, I gotta tell you, yeah, there's, yeah.
It'd be nice to them.
And to hear Mike tell me that we're gonna have to live with those roads for a whole nother year, I gotta tell you, that was very, very disappointing.
Didn't pay to be nice to them. Should've told them, no, you can't park here.
Right.
Period.
Right? No, that was, yeah. Because I gotta tell you, that is a constant complaint.
It's difficult. When they were coming in the beginning, they were all so nice. We're gonna do a road, we're gonna work with you. And once they start doing it, they're like everybody else. Anybody else on anything? You're gonna take care of the race notices?
My only suggestion is that you do a vote on the record, if you guys want to do that, let's just do that as a vote on the record.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we send out race notices to all of the office staff, so we can discuss the hours and the positions and stuff for next budget meeting. Anybody want a second?
I'll second it.
Anybody have any questions, comments? Roll call?
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
Mr. Dean?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Yes.
And, Lillian, so next time, can you reach out to, Animal Control? I don't think there should be anything, because, actually, there might be, because we got some strange bills this year, Animal Control
I
wise.
never got a response.
About what?
I had questioned your, we got the bill for almost $2,000.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I didn't see that
I
one.
questioned many of the charges on it, were nail trimming, spaying the animals, which maybe that's...
Well, no, the spaying thing is kind of, we're trapped to that. The nail trimming,
Maybe responded.
Been given, huh?
She did respond.
Oh, I didn't get it,
You didn't get it?
no.
I didn't see anything on it either.
Oh, I'm sorry. She
Response
just,
to you.
all right, I'll forward it. Yeah, she responded, what she said is, you either pay, we've chosen as a town, whenever this happens, to pay for the spaying and neutering, as opposed to euthanizing the animal that you pay for. So you're gonna pay for one or the other. But she did say in the email that the trimming and all that shouldn't be a charge, so she was gonna talk to the vet about that they shouldn't be charging us for that. Just the spaying and neutering.
You get a manicure, but not a pedicure.
You can get cut, but just not your nails.
To replenish some of that as well, we might look into having, James,
How many-
doing our licensing, actually conduct at least a partial survey.
well, that, to be honest, that was another thought. We need to do a census.
I don't know, our numbers are about probably doubled, but they should be far more than that.
So last year we had about 170, so we're over 300, you think?
We're approaching 300.
Really?
I'll
That's
get
still
the-
way
It's
low.
still way low. And-
There's gotta be at least $1,000 in this town.
I mean,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
you know, we either do a cost of a mailing, or, but I mean, we've had more people come in here and be like, wait a minute, you're gonna find me, well, then I'm just not doing it, and they walk out, I'm like, did you get an address? You know, people are, yeah, so.
And the only other thing, and I'm just going to throw this out, and I don't know that I'm on board with it, but it's not unusual to license cats nowadays either. I'm just saying, I know Phillipsburg does, and,
We do in Raritan.
again, just to recover animal control and all that, I mean, we're spaying cats right and left.
Actually, it's the cats that are
It's cats, right?
giving us the
And
cost
above-
more than
above
anything.
that, what the point is also to make sure that people are vaccinated.
Right.
Right.
Because
Because,
cats are worse
I mean,
than
we
dogs.
got a lady, up there on Fox Farm Road that's just livid about the neighbors who aren't taking care of the cats, and why don't we do something more? I'm like, Diane, what do you want me to do? You know what I'm saying? And back here in Stewart's Hunt, back on Canal, there's a feral population back there.
Just constantly.
And I mean, I personally know some people that used to live there, they've moved on, that were providing lots of food for them feral cats and stuff like that.
It'll help you with your mice population, at least.
I don't know, there's tons of chipmunks and squirrels, so.
They're not getting the job done.
They're not doing a good
There's
job.
plenty of people feeding them bad boys up there.
There's enough fox and coyote back there that, I know one of my cats ran away and never saw it again, so.
If you adjust the ordinance to actually reflect that. if
Yeah,
you
we're gonna
feed an
fox them in the
animal
farm that
that
runs
belongs
around.
to you, it'll be amazing how
cute.
people will
Is that your
stop
ass?
just.
It's all nice. Every time I drive by, you go across the road.
What's
I always
that?
have
Fox.
Foxes,
They're
yeah.
always over by me.
I love seeing
Can
them.
I get the...
Yeah, nice healthy ones with tail, they're not shit.
They have been really nice last
Samantha,
couple of
right?
years.
Yeah, yeah.
They're little
But I
things,
need the
too.
number if I can, thank you.
You see coyotes, but I've seen coyotes.
Oh, yeah, we've seen plenty of coyotes.
I haven't seen one
Thank you.
lately,
I
but.
think I saw one running across the road.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
A second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.